Well, hey everybody, my name is Lonnie Hogan. I'm an Uber driver, and I just got scammed out of about $150, and I'm going to explain to you exactly what happened so that the same thing doesn't happen to you. Okay, so I'm talking to you right now quite literally about an hour after this incident occurred. I'm doing this video immediately because I wanted to do it while the information was fresh in my head and where I could explain what happened and how it happened in such a way that you would best be able to understand it and recognize it if this was happening to you. And what really fascinates me about it is that, they used Uber's technology in order to facilitate this scam. So here's what happened in a nutshell. I received a ride request from a person who, when I went to pick this person up, she was not there. And so I called the rider, as is a typical thing an Uber driver would do, to get in touch, where I then got on the phone with someone claiming to be Uber support, needing to do an identity verification with me. Okay? She walked me through a series of questions. She convinced me. And even though there was a little something in the back of my head saying this seems a little weird, I went ahead and I did something, I'm just going to acknowledge it, pretty stupid. After a series of questions that she asked, one of the questions was, what account, what bank are you depositing your Uber credits into, or your Uber income into? And she had a whole bunch of other questions too, with like my satisfaction with Uber and things they could do better. I mean, all kinds of things that really convinced me that this was Uber support. And then she asked me what was the debit card number that I used to have my funds transferred into my account. That should have been my whole huge red flag. Wait a minute, Uber support would never ask me to give them the credit card number, and they also asked for my social security number and other details. But she had won over my trust. I thought I needed to do this because it's not uncommon, I'm sure, as you've seen. Uber once in a while needs to do a verification of your identity to make certain that it's you driving the car. Okay, and usually you do it with just taking a quick selfie. I had no idea why they were doing it differently, other than what she had said, which was that a previous passenger of mine had complained that the person they were expecting to be driving the car wasn't me, that it was a different person, and that's why I was receiving the interception from Uber support to verify my identity before they would allow me to have any more rides. So I hope that all makes sense. And is this thing still recording? Yes, it is. So what happened basically is she took my credit card information and, a whole lot of other information from me too. I mean, questions that she was asking about what we can do to make Uber better, what's your satisfaction on a scale of 1 to 10. I mean, it was a pretty sophisticated script that she was using to facilitate this scam. And when it was all said and done, and I got off the phone, I said, she said, are there any more questions that you have for me? And I said, yeah, where's my rider? Okay, the only reason I'm sitting here in my car is because you told me that, because, your technology should show it too, that there's this person named Stacy who's waiting for me to pick her up. I'm sitting here where I'm supposed to be. She's not here. I've been on the phone with Uber support for the last 10 minutes answering survey questions when supposedly there's a rider waiting for a ride. It doesn't make any sense. And she said, oh yeah, just go ahead and cancel that ride because we've already given that person to another Uber driver. And I thought, okay, still a little weird, but okay, she had an answer for the question that had been properly prepared. So she, I get off the phone with her. Oh, one more quick detail. I asked her one last question, and she hung up the phone on me. Okay, and to be honest with you, I don't even remember what the question was that I asked, but I was really starting to get suspicious. I'd already, given out the sensitive information, and then I went ahead and, it was over at that point in time. But I'd asked her another quick question. She hung up on me. As soon as she hung up on me, my red flags were, going up exponentially more. So I turned around the corner, okay, drove up the road just a little bit so I could park the car, and I was immediately going to call my bank, okay? While I'm literally looking for my bank's phone number to call them, I get an inbound phone call from my bank, from the fraud and consumer, card protection division. Because there's, if you've ever had that happen where you've seen all of a sudden fraudulent activity on your account, that's what happened. So I get on the phone. Sure enough, 3 attempts to transfer money out of my checking account into some other kind of an account. Not a bill pay, but like a transfer had just happened within the last 10 minutes. And, and I knew for a fact that at that point that I had never been on the phone with Uber support. It was some sort of a fraudster. So, we immediately canceled the credit card. They're disputing the charges. So, chances are I'm going to come out of this clean. They'll never get the money. I think we caught it quickly enough, and it should be okay. But, I wanted to take it another step. I wanted to catch this person, okay? And what I was trying to figure out is, okay, she had my license plate number. Now, maybe that would be just because, I don't know if this is true or not, but all riders, I think, get the license plate number of the car that's coming to pick them up. Okay, so if she has a legitimate Uber account as a rider, then she could facilitate this fraud. The things that I can't quite figure out is that GPS technology was leading me to a spot. And this was one of the red flags. There was an apartment building and then a house and this road that was like one of these cruddy little roads that leads to nowhere. You turn the corner, it goes to a little teeny parking lot behind the apartment complex, but then it kind of goes off a little bit further, but it just goes off into the woods. I mean, it just kind of ends. And the GPS was pushing me into the woods, like I was supposed to drive up the road. I got to the point where, when your phone and your car meet right there, like the person should be right in front of you, and you can tell by looking at the pinpoint. I'm looking around and I'm like, there's nothing but trees. There's no human being would ever possibly request an Uber ride from this location. Okay, but that's where the GPS was leading me. I don't know how they would be able to manipulate the GPS, but maybe they did, or there was maybe some phones sitting in the tall grass. I don't know. But then when I made the phone call, I thought I was going to be talking to the rider, and I get this, person who answers the phone, a legitimate American-sounding voice and accent, who spoke English quite well, although with a little bit of a rough accent that I think I could recognize the voice if I ever heard it again. But what she said when I got on the phone with her was that she was with Uber support and that she had intercepted the phone call when I tried to call the customer. I wasn't reaching the customer, I was reaching her because Uber had an alert that they needed to talk to me before I talked to any more customers. They said it was because a previous customer from earlier that day had said I was not the person who they were expected to pick them up. Okay, which that was a little bit of a red flag too, because I'd only had a couple of rides, and none of them were with anyone strange or unusual or in any way, shape, or form that would make me or them think that there was something wrong. But little teeny things were coming together that were showing me that this wasn't quite right, but nothing that was a big enough red flag until they hung up on me, until after I'd given them the critical credit card information. So the reason that I'm putting all this and kind of spelling it all out and kind of just, vomiting all over the video here, partially is because it's still somewhat fresh in my head and I wanted to get out this detail. And then two, this is the kind of scam that I think any Uber driver could get hit with if they're not made aware. The police have been called. Okay, I called and I'm facilitating a report. I have called Uber support too. So, we've got two agencies working together, hopefully, to remedy all of this. Obviously, the crime never actually created the results they wanted anyway. However, there's still a good chance to catch the crooks, because the name given on the Uber account was this Susan Jones, but that sounds like an alias to me. But you still have a legitimate phone number on there. Okay, that phone number has to lead to somebody. If it doesn't lead to a Susan Jones, it leads to somebody, and we've got that record in Uber and on my phone. And then there's also the GPS technology, which landed us in that specific location. Plus she knew my license plate number. So either it's a legitimate account, in which case there's a huge paper trail that's going to lead right back to the perpetrator, or we know where the crime happened if they were somehow a fake Uber account. I don't even know if you can really make those, but if they did that, they still had to have that specific location pinpointed, and would have needed to know what my car looked like and what the license plate number on it was. So in any case, I'm kind of rambling at this point, but I did want to just put this video together real quickly and warn other drivers that scams like this are out there. And Uber support, did verify, because I mean, I kind of knew it, but I said, hey, look, they asked me for the account number that I deposited my Uber money into, and that was a little bit of a red flag. Usually you would maybe ask for the last 4 digits or something like that, but you would never ask for the whole number. But they did, and I gave it to them. And and then she asked for the expiration date, and I thought to myself, why do they need that? But I gave it to them anyway. Then she asked for the CVC number, and it's almost like, well, I've given them this much information already. It's going to get really awkward if I pull the strings here and I don't give it to them. I'm basically calling them out for not being truly Uber support. And what if I'm wrong? Because at that point in time, I was probably about 30% thinking something was strange, but 70% thinking it was still okay. So, I hadn't really caught on to what was going on yet, but I was catching on, as more pieces were coming into play. And so this is going to happen to anybody. I like to think of myself as a fairly intelligent guy, although I'm not feeling so great about it right now after this experience. But, at least, I recognized it when right after it happened, contacted the bank, got that taken care of, contacted the police, contacted Uber support. So, there's a good chance we can catch whoever did this and warn other rideshare drivers about this potential scam that exists. So if you ever get a ride request that looks legit and you go to the location and the location just doesn't look right, okay? People don't ask for Uber to pick them up in the middle of the woods, okay? So if you run out of road and the GPS says, well, there should be a human being right here, but all I see is trees, massive red alert right there. And I was already, but earlier in the day, I'd had another person who also had done a ride request, and I went to the location where the GPS said she was, and I was like, and it was construction, like a building under construction, okay? And I thought that was a little weird, and I didn't want to go in there because it said the road was closed. So I called that person, and the first thing the rider did was she said, yeah, I don't know why the GPS is putting me way over there. I'm not over there. I'm about a block away. So I said, oh, okay. And then I didn't think that much of it, and I just went over a block away and picked her up, and it was a fine ride from there on out. But, now I'm almost wondering if they knew, whoever did this knew how to somehow mess with the GPS, and they were messing with the GPS on my Uber account somehow. I don't know if that, I don't know enough about technology to even know if that's possible. But, I've got my different suspicions as to how they actually put this crime together. And, and it was fairly sophisticated. The script they used was very well thought out. It was a script that had meticulous questions and processes for building rapport and facilitating trust before asking sensitive information questions. And so anyway, I'll maybe do a follow-up video to let you know how it all works out. Uber support says they're going to get back to me in a little bit later on today. I'm supposed to have a police officer call me later on today to take down more details about the police report. I don't know to what degree and how serious they're going to go after the perpetrator. Part of the reason that I wanted to get a hold of them right away, though, is because I think there's enough data here, enough information that we can catch the culprit. Whereas usually with these kinds of fraud reports and things like that, yeah, they may or may not get your money. Yeah, you're insured or you'll get your money back, but the crime is never actually solved either because the police have way more, bigger fish to fry. But in this particular case, there may be, there was either a really stupid crook who created a legitimate Uber account that will trace right